Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast. Who knows what number it is at this stage, but you do know that I am broadcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland, and I'm joined as always by Marie Hanahan and by Kam Brainch for this episode of our Rambly Chat Liverpool podcast, which you've come to expect at this stage. And I do have a little thing that I want to talk about at the start, but it's kind of in the form of a little quiz for Lisa Marie and for Kam. As is our wont around here, we like to not just jump straight into the details of matches, but actually just have a little bit of an ease in. So I have a little activity for the guys to do in a second. So I'm going to go straight to Lisa Marie and ask you, Lisa Marie, what have you got to start us off with this week?
Oh, just a quote that kind of sort of reflects my just overall, that's the word I was looking for, overall mood. So here we go. Find out where joy resides and give it a voice far beyond singing. For to miss the joy is to miss all.
Ooh, that's nice. Works in a number of levels, that, scene, as at some stage you have promised to sing for us on the show.
I wondered if that was going to come in. I really did. I wondered if that was going to come in. But it's the middle of the day and I have not been drinking, so.
All I'm saying is never commit to anything on the podcast, because we do remember both Kam and I.
I've never committed to that. You've just suggested that.
I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
I'm afraid you did. Anyway, really like that quote. And is that the one, or was it one of two? Did you tell me you two, or was one for the last part?
I do have a second one that's kind of along those lines. All right, so that first one was Robert Louis Stevenson to get the proper credit.
Lovely.
Second one can never consent to creep when one feels an impulse to soar.
Oh, you're knocking it out of the park this week. This is all very relevant and philosophical. I like it. Who's behind that particular little creed?
That is Helen Keller.
Excellent.
Who, by the way, my one son thinks. How does he put it? Does he say fraud? He's like, there's no way someone who's deaf and blind could actually have done all those things. So it's an ongoing argument with him anytime Helen Keller happens to come up. But anyway,
that guy's such a cynic.
He is a cynic. You should not. 16 going on 17, but he is.
Yeah. It's an interesting take. Kam, what have you got to start off? I believe you've got a little query for us, man.
Yeah, so I'm going to need a comment from yourself afterwards on this.
Okay.
So, as everyone is aware, Trevor, last week you announced you were leaving AI, and after a very rapid U-turn, it seems, more rapid than the Tory government.
Hey, go
in. Would you care to comment on this U-turn?
Yeah, I've spoken to my people, and we've decided to just, accept the failings of those around us and rise above it. So that's where I'm at. I'm just gonna brave it out, Kam. I'm just gonna brave it out.
What was it? 24 hours?
I don't know that it was even that.
I don't think we should be discussing how long it was. I don't think that's the point at all. Whatever duration a flounce lasts for should be respected, in my opinion.
Glorious.
No, but and again, I have to say that the behind the whole joke is still the everlasting tragedy, which ends up being my saving grace, because still at no stage on any podcast have I been an angry man like I was at the end of that one. So everyone still thinks I'm nice. So it's worked out good.
I don't know. I heard it and it was fantastic. I really wish it had recorded. It was great.
I'm gutted I haven't heard this.
Well, both of you have long since.
You won't.
Both of
I
you,
know, that's the
You had
point.
to catch it live.
Yeah, but both of you have long since worked out that I'm not nice, so there's nothing to lose here. With the whole listening public there who are still convinced that I'm not a bad old bastard. So let's not disabuse them of that idea if we could. And I have a little quiz for you, right? You're going to love this. So I'm going to give you a common turn of phrase. You get a point for explaining it to me, what it means, and you get a point for its origin. Tell me where it comes from. What do you reckon? Can we try this?
Well, that's fine. Now, are these things that I might have a cultural disadvantage over because, you know, I live on this side of the Atlantic?
No. These are not region specific.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool.
I be
I'm
region
getting the
specific.
feeling this is not going to go well for me.
Not at all, man. Not at all. So you're going to start us off, Kam.
Oh, great.
Here is the phrase. All you got to do is explain to me what's the phrase mean?
Okay.
How would you use it? And then if you can, for a bonus point, you give me the origins. I'll keep the scores as we go along. I think I'm going to give you 3 each, so it's a maximum score of 6. So we'll see what the score is by the end. Your phrase, Kam, turn a blind eye. What does that mean? Where does it come from?
Turn a blind eye. So I'm guessing that's if you're not overly impressed with somebody who may have done something or said something, you're just going to ignore. Where the phrase has come from, I wouldn't have the foggiest. It's probably some old Victorian thing or something I'm going to go with.
Yeah, a little bit before that, but actually interesting. What did you say there? Sorry, explain to me again what you said the meaning of it is, because I think you nailed that. What did you say it meant? So to turn a blind eye is to
pretty much ignore what somebody says or does that you're not overly impressed with.
Nice. That's 1 point for you. I can't give you the origin one because you're a bit vague. In fact, You're so vague you didn't give me an answer. So I will say this.
I did say something from the Victorian era, but I couldn't give you any more than that.
I mean, dude.
That's narrowing it down to like 80 years. Come on.
I don't, oh my God, I don't 100% buy into this. But the explanation is that it's based around Horatio Nelson, 1801 Battle of Copenhagen. Nelson's ships are up against the Danish-Norwegian fleet. His superior officer at the time, flagged for him to withdraw. And Nelson, who was famously wore an eye patch, brought the telescope up to his bad eye and said, "I really do not see the signal." So he was quite literally turning his blind eye to the address or the order. So it's quite good, that one.
Yeah, that is good. I like that.
Your one is white elephant. First of all, what is a white elephant? And then can you explain to me where it comes from?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, a white elephant it's something unique, right?
It is.
Okay. And where does it come from? I have no idea.
Well, I'm going to give you the unique thing. It's usually the concept of sacred as well, because obviously they're sacred creatures in Thailand. But I'm going to give you that idea of it being specific and very unique. And according to a legend, in the past, if an underling or a rival made a Siamese king angry, that king might present this person who'd angered them with the gift of a white elephant. So he would seem to reward him. But even though it appeared to be a reward, what happened was these creatures were incredibly expensive to feed, to house. Caring one would drive the person who received it into financial ruin. And obviously you had to, by culture, look after it. So it was a punishment, which is quite interesting, right?
interesting.
There you go. There you go. Second one for you, Kam. Crocodile tears.
Oh, I'm full of these.
Oh yeah, go on then.
Yeah, crocodile tears. When somebody is crying, and they're not genuine with that crying or the tears that are flowing. It's just putting it on for the sake of it. The origin of it is because obviously crocodiles don't cry, do they? I believe. Or they don't have tear ducts or something like that. Anyway,
they don't sweat either because they're lizards, and we all know lizards don't sweat. Isn't that right, Prince Andrew? See how I typed that in. And by the way, listen, I can't believe I actually gave you the marks for that. I should not have given you the marks for that because I was distracted by reading out the explanation. Yeah, because a white elephant is basically just something that's pretty useless. That's someone used to say that to me. There was a couple of little buildings around the country, and they'd be referred to as white elephants, and I never really. They were kind of purposeless, useless, perhaps even troublesome. But I've given you the point there, so I can't take it back off you. Anyway, good explanation, Kam. Your origin for crocodile tears. What do you think? Apart from the fact that crocodiles can't sweat or whatever you just said.
Origin, I'm guessing it's an Aboriginal thing.
Well, why not? It actually comes from a 14th century book by called The Travels of Sir John Mandeville. This is really interesting. It was a very popular book when it came out first, and it was about a brave knight's adventures during his travels through Asia. And in one of the little stories, the book includes a description of crocodiles that notes, these serpents, slay men and eat them weeping, and they have no tongue. So this eventually makes its way into Shakespeare, who talks about crocodile tears, meaning like, they're eating you as they're crying. So those tears don't really count. And so that's the idiom that took off in the 16th century. Die Hard is your one, Lisa Marie. So what is?
I assume we're not talking about the movie.
We are not. Although I believe we also are. So. Well,
yeah. Oh God, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
Well, if I described you, or young Brainchy there as a die-hard supporter, what is it I'm trying to say about you?
Oh, well, that means, you'll give everything for whatever you support. With your last dying breath.
Perfect. Perfect. It's a total dedication. You're right. And this time I am actually focusing on what I'm doing, and I'm agreeing with you because you are correct. Would you like to give me an idea of the origin of that phrase?
It probably comes from some, war story. Yeah,
It does come from some war story.
Oh well, okay.
This may be enough to decide the competition in your favour. If we can't get it, do you want to leave it at that, or do you want me to clarify what particular war story and from when?
Well, let me just give it, since you've kind of given me. Well, you didn't really give me a hint. You just sort of validated what I said.
If you could give me the war or even a person involved in the war, I'm going to give you this mark.
World War II.
We're going back a bit further. It actually comes from originally. What were you saying, Kam?
Boer War.
The Boer War, says Kam. Sorry, back further again. Came up first in the 1700s, and actually the first description of it was to describe condemned men who struggled the longest when they were executed by hanging, which is pretty grim, right? And later on, it came to be used in battle. There was some British officer who apparently urged his unit forward during the Napoleonic Wars by saying, stand your ground and die hard, make the enemy pay dear for each of us. So that's where that one comes from. So almost. I'm going to give you one more each. So the first one, or the last one for you, Kam, is we're level here on 2 each, right? So your one, the decider, is read the Riot Act. What does that mean?
Read the Riot Act. Okay, when you're not happy with someone or some organisation or whoever or a team or something like that, you're going to read them the Riot Act. So you're going to rip them and shred them a new one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any idea on the origin, brother?
Read the Riot Act on the origins of it. It's obviously in reference to a riot that's happened somewhere, I would say.
Yes.
Now you're going to say which riot was it and when.
Well, I would like you to be a little bit more specific, yes.
Yeah, because I just know about all the riots that have ever happened. I mean, I remember the Tottenham riots, the Topsteth riots, the Birmingham riots. When I had a shop in Wolverhampton, there were Wolverhampton riots. But it's obviously none of those. There's going to be some random riot that happened in America. And
right.
I think it's something to do with civil liberties of some sort in the early 1960s.
That is beautifully specific and entirely wrong. It comes from 18th century England, in fact. And the Riot Act was actually instituted in 1715, and it gave the British government, keep an eye on this, folks, for some contemporary references, the authority to label any group of more than 12 people a threat to the peace, and therefore a public official would come out, read a small portion of the Riot Act, and tell people to disperse themselves and peaceably depart to their habitations. Or else, and this is me paraphrasing here, they would get beaten around the bonds.
That's coming back.
Yeah, well, coming. It's already back. Your last one, Lisa Marie, is paint the town red. If one was to paint the town red, what does it mean? And then could you have a guess as to where it comes from?
Well, to paint the town red, that's to, go out and tie one on and cause some mischief and see what you can get into that you probably shouldn't.
Pretty good. I'm giving you the point. So, to win this one, would you have any clue about what happened to cause this to be a phrase?
Well, I know that areas where houses of ill repute used to be, there was often called the red light district. So I don't know if there's some tie to that. So maybe were certain places where one might find such mischief have, red doors or be painted red in some way.
Oh, that's very nice. I like that a lot.
But it's wrong. Go ahead.
Sadly, it's entirely wrong. It comes from a very specific lad called the Marquee of Waterford, or Marquis, depending on where you're from. And in 1837, this lad, who was a known lush, I always like that description of people, and mischief maker, led a group of friends on a night of drinking through the English town, and Kam, you'll have probably driven through this, of Melton Mowbray.
I used to live near there.
There you go.
For its pork pie and pedigree pet foods.
Nice pork pies, I can attest to that. The famous bender culminated in vandalism after the Marquee of Waterford and his fellow revellers knocked over flower pots, pulled knockers off doors,
Oh my God,
broke the windows of some of the town's buildings, and then to top it all off, the mob literally painted a toll gate, the doors of several homes, and a swan statue with red paint. See, you almost had a little bit of the truth there, Lisa Marie, but for the wrong reason. So
around
there it
the
is.
edges anyway.
How do we feel about declaring this a draw?
That's fine. Do I still get to keep my tiara?
No.
No.
No, because when there was a disputed quiz in the past, I was not. My title was called into question. I'll tell you what I'll do. Tell you what I'll do. Sorry, a little bit of past bitterness coming in there.
Because I have retained my tiara since our Christmas episode. I mean, it's been over 2 months.
Okay.
Do you polish it regularly?
I do.
Should I give you one to just shout the correct answer to? Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Oh my God, that's actually a terrible idea. That's actually a terrible idea.
No, we can call it a draw. That's okay.
I'm going to call it a draw. I think we should. Now, the one thing that we've been, and you're going to love this, watch this for an effortless segue. The one thing Liverpool have not been doing lately much is drawing. Hey, you like that? You like that one?
Ah, well done.
In fact, you'd have to say there have been some very, very impressive results. And it's not often you get to watch your team in a top division match winning 6-0 as we did recently. There was something particularly pleasing about it, to the extent that on the most recent Raw I sort of lost the run of myself and we went on several tangents and wanders at the start of the show, and I like to run a tight ship and keep to the formula, but it was almost impossible to do so because there were so many things you wanted to talk about, whether it was Joel Matip or the fact that we had battered in a couple of goals in the last couple of minutes, just remarkable stuff. And I was just full of enthusiasm for this squad. So obviously something like that on the back of the 3 goals that we scored against Norwich is going to leave you pretty content with yourself as a Liverpool fan. So as usual, I wouldn't mind just starting by wondering what it was that both of you picked out of that as your kind of happy, feel-good moment for the week, or more to the point, maybe something that it's going to be hard to find, I think, but sometimes Kam in particular likes to point out things that did annoy him or was negative. So I'm just going to go with assuming that it's going to be positive. But so from your take from the week, what is the red story, Lisa Marie, that you found yourself sort of warming towards most, or what was the thing that you wanted to reflect on the show today?
Well, and I think that it was, and I've been kind of half jokingly asking for this for a couple of months now, but the Leeds game was fun to watch. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel stressed out at all at any point in that. Now, the Norwich game, was not as stressful as some have been. Now, I have to say, when they scored first, I was like, oh no, have we gone in here just overconfident? But they turned that around. But no, the Leeds game, and that's kind of what led to my joy quotes, is it was just fun to watch. You knew that, I mean, yay, we were going to win. And not only that, but we were going to win well. I mean, when you're three up at halftime and, Mo's had 22 chances that haven't gone in, then you just, you have a good feeling about things. And so it was so much fun to watch. And then, and Joel scoring the goal was just, that just kind of kept the good feeling. I mean, 'cause, it was early enough in the match that it was like, oh yes, he finally did it. And then, the whole thing was just a whole, then sings my soul joyful moment, one right after the other.
Can I ask you about this? Because and again, forgive I don't mean this to be in any way gauche or off-putting, but we've spoken before about the fact that you've come to it in recent times. So it's a very unique perspective that you offer, and it's going to be a perspective that's going to be familiar to an awful lot of people who listen to this show, who are going to be in all sorts of areas in terms of the length of their fandom. And so for you, I wonder, because I think it's been predominantly the Klopp era, if not exclusively. For you, I wonder how much is that joy a part of the whole experience for you? And I mean, did you sign up, or have you found yourself signed up for all the various emotions? Like, I mean, how integral is fun to your idea of supporting Liverpool Football Club? I mean, is it absolutely essential? Like, I for context, it is for me. And there were some pretty dark days, and you find yourself kind of questioning everything. You're going through the motions. It's deeply unpleasant. And at the time I was doing a bit of writing as well, and it was the start of that era, and you're trying to be positive, but it's very, very difficult. So for me, fun is hugely important. I'm wondering how much of the bargain that you made with yourself when you decided to, sign on for Liverpool fandom and all that entails for someone who lives in your part of the world, how much a part of it is the joy?
I think it's become more so as, because when I first started, it was just started watching the games and kind of following the team. I mean, I wasn't necessarily all in, if that makes sense. I mean, of course, you're catching it here and there, and you're, sort of paying attention and all of that. But and of course, we've also talked that it just so happened that, when I did start following Liverpool, it was as things were on the upswing. So, it just, I guess, became more fun. And I just, I don't want to say I bought into, but I just, as the team was, doing better and doing well. And I mean, I think that was one of the things that not their success so much on the field and in competitions, but just the overall, I have very much bought into, and again, I don't even have any frame of reference, but I just, I love the mindset and everything that Klopp has brought to this team, and you see it throughout the team. You don't see our players, on post-match press conferences, whining and whinging about things not going their way. If they don't, then it's just like, yeah, it wasn't our day, and we go again next time. And so I appreciate a mindset like that. That is something that I've always had an appreciation for. So I think, and then of course, last year, that was such a whole new experience for me where we went through the bad run and all the things. But then again, it ended up fairly okay with us, making the top 4 and being able to compete in the Champions League this year. So I have noticed it more probably in the last year to year and a half. But again, I've been more in, I didn't start out listening to podcasts all the time and, and everything that, I have come to do here in the last couple of years. So I think it is built. And then as it is built, and we've all talked about this from time to time that, we need to find the joy in watching this team, this group of players are so special and focusing on, we can discuss things that don't go well and things like that, but at the end of the day, we should be enjoying it, and we should be enjoying, whatever success that the team manages, to obtain. And but the joy, I love it. It was just, I think it was because, we kind of started off the season that way. And then, when, Harvey's injury and the midfielders, falling left, right, and center, was like, you kind of had that. No, we lived through this last year. We don't deserve to have to deal with this again this year. But then we kind of powered through, but then there was a little hiccup through the holiday, so I think it's just, I think when I have taken a step back and said, okay, you know what, we just need to look at what's good and focus on the good and just kind of move through. And the last, couple months have started rewarding, you're starting to see a payoff, I think, for that. And God, I hope it continues.
I think it's interesting because it's the fun part of it that's been so lovely for me as a supporter, even a supporter who's as long in the tooth as I am with it. And I saw Kloppo in an interview that I read today talking about how last year's achievement was as high, very, very high on his list of things that have happened to him as a coach. After the trophies, he had it immediately next. And if he's being honest, it's a higher achievement than all but 2 of the trophies because it was such a remarkable thing. And basically what I'm getting at is that those guys brought the joy in the end. They brought that fun and they brought that sense of achievement. And Kam, you like me have gone through the heights and the lows, and probably you like me started off at a time when I shamelessly admit it, I was attracted by the shiny thing. I saw Kenny Dalglish, I saw that era of Liverpool, and I thought, I'll have some of that. That's amazing. Let me let me be interested in that, let me follow that, let me see what's going to happen from that. If you want to dismiss that as some sort of a very, very young child glory hunter, then fine, do what you did, knock yourself out. But that's where I was with it. Now, it's gone a lot of different ways since, and an awful lot of the time the fun has been missing. But I think as I'm getting older, Cam, it's more and more a part of why I want to be into it. And I think I was just getting to that stage around the Hodgson era where it was like, this better change soon because I might be out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm wondering for you as a fellow long traveler with this, how important is that to you? I mean, is it a massive factor? Are you one of those guys who'll just be, oh, even if it's miserable, I'm just going to do it and do it and do it anyway? Where does it fit in for you in the scheme of things?
For reference, I started supporting Liverpool after we lost the cup final.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you'd still say because we won the European Cup 4 days later that, you could say I'm still a glory hunter, maybe. We have had all the highs, we've had all the lows. We've had, some joyous football. I mean, I'm not sure I would use the term fun.
Would you not?
No, I can't really relate to having fun.
See, that's, man, I'm gonna cut across here because I wanted to ask you this specifically because I think in this way there's something sort of just inherently different to how you think about and watch games and myself and Lisa Marie think about and watch games because we spoke about it very recently. For you, the game, it's not a glass half full thing. It's just you're wary, you're cautious. You do seem to have that cynicism about you with it. But tell me at least when things like, when we have a win or whatever, you absolutely revel in it. You're not a Roy Keane, right?
And that's it. It's all about the win.
Yeah.
So it's the nervousness, it's the tension. And then as the game progresses, I want to be mesmerized by what I'm watching. I want to be dazzled by what I'm watching. I want to really feel, that I've watched a game of football where they've played football in the way I want to see football being played. I'll watch Liverpool when they're as dire as anyone, and as long as they win, I just want that win. I don't care as well at the same time. So when it was the Hodgson era, for example, the football was as atrocious can be. And even under the second spell under Kenny, some of the football was pretty drab. But it was all about the win, the result, because that result had an effect on outside of football. It affected your mood. It affected your mindset. And it'd be like, we have an early game on a Saturday. You win that game. You're buzzing for the weekend. And your week starts off great then, and then you're looking forward to the next game. You lose that early game on a Saturday and you're on a downer for the whole weekend. The family stays away from you. They know you're in a bad mood because your team's lost. It's a total emotional investment for me. So,
but you sound like a bit of an enigma. You're talking about how you want to be dazzled. So let's say it's 0-0. And we're playing Real Madrid in the Champions League final or something like that. And Mo and Diaz and Mane are doing beautiful triangles and stuff like that. And you're watching this incredible football by these incredible footballers. But what I'm getting from you is you're not happy then. You're telling me what you want to see. It's
still ultimately about the win.
Exactly. So the only joy.
It's about the win, but I can't put the word fun on it.
Okay.
Because of the emotional investment I have in the game.
Yeah. Okay.
So if right now we are watching amazing football,
right?
I'm mesmerised by what we're doing, how we're doing it, the intricacies within the game of what that goal Diaz scored a couple of weeks ago for his only goal for Liverpool.
The third one in the Norwich game.
Yeah,
beautiful.
34 passes.
Yeah.
34 passes. Now, You don't see that very often.
But you haven't had any fun until the final whistle's gone. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean, the fun is say, for example, now, I'm, lucky enough to be at the Champions League final, probably the most boring game you're ever going to watch. It's a final. They're nervous. The tension is there. Yeah. It's all on that 90 minutes or 120 minutes or on the penalties, depending how the game goes. Yeah. It's the final. That's not fun. That's not fun. The fun is afterwards celebrating the win.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, man. I do get it.
Yeah. So this week, the Leeds game, for example, it was great. There was some dazzling football played. There was some wonderful goals. Well, there was really only one wonderful goal scored. The other goals were, two penalties are penalties. Van Dijk had a free header. Sadio got two goals. Maybe the first one was quite good. With the way, the pressing in the pass, the reverse pass from Mo to Hendo, great cross from Hendo, good finish from Sadio. But that Joel goal is something we've wanted to see for so long, with all those runs he's been doing, or as long as he's been doing them, with no end result. We got the end result, and what a finish. It was a glorious goal. It was fantastic. But it wasn't fun.
Okay, at this stage,
that's not a word I would put to a goal in a football match. Well, that was fun.
I fully get what you're saying, but I think and you're veering into the realm of the Roy Keanes of this world, who can only enjoy the victory, but then the likes of him, especially in his latter days when he didn't even have a drink, he enjoyed it for all 10 minutes and he was getting miserable already. I don't think you're veering that way. I think you're going to...
No, I'm definitely not veering that way. I'm definitely not veering that way.
Yeah, exactly. You enjoy it as it happens. But
no, I want to see... if we see wonderful football, I guess that's a bonus. Yeah? I mean, you can watch that Man City team play football, and I'm not going to lie to you, it bores me. It's boring me now.
But it doesn't have to be. See, again, I'm going to bring you in this, Lisa Marie. It doesn't have to be about the quality of football. I can have joy and actual fun, and I do mean fun. For me, I can knock tremendous crack out of Jimmy Milner coming on 87 minutes and kicking a lad up in the air. I mean, I love that. It genuinely makes me happy. I can see Thiago ping a pass, a no-look pass, 30, 40 yards, and I'm purring. I've changed in that respect. I was very, very much like Kam in the past. It was only about the result. Get that thing over the fucking line. I don't know whether it's concerted life experience, kicking the shit out of you, and you get a bit of fun wherever you can get it, or whether it's become a philosophy with me now, Lisa Marie. But can you relate to that kind of thing that I'm talking about? About, it's not only when we're playing brilliantly that you can actually be watching and kind of giggling to yourself or smiling or just deriving pleasure from it.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely, and I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think what it was about the Leeds game that is allowing me to say inverted commas fun is there really was none of that nervousness that a number of our games have had. And Kam, I get your point as well. I mean, there are times and Trev and I've had kind of laughing conversations or exchanges in the past about how I would literally pace the floor for the last 15 minutes of the game, like willing them to win. Because I'm sure that makes the difference, all the difference in the world, me wearing a path out here on the carpet. So I see what you're both saying, but I guess the long and the short of it is I am where you are, Trev, and I don't know how I managed to just skip to this phase without all the years of buildup. But yeah, I mean, there are times where, it may not have been an easy game, but by golly, it just makes me smile to see James Milner come on and hope that, and I'm hoping that he's going to kick some specific player up in the air. It's just been annoying me on the other team for the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, all right, please bring him in and let him just take that one out. So and I don't know. I mean, it's just different perspectives. And I think that's just what makes this, these conversations amongst the three of us and anyone is what makes it fun is how we all kind of, everyone sees it a little bit differently. But yeah, I mean, I like to get a chuckle out of, obviously, Joel not throwing a temper tantrum on some call or seeing, somebody didn't do something right. And, and Allison he doesn't really yell at them, but he gives them that kind of imperious look like, hello. So yeah, no, I mean, just all of that to me is just part of the joy. I think you're going to have to work that into the title somehow, Trev.
I think so, yeah. I think so. But listen, it might seem pedantic, but it's not, because it's an evolution. I may well find myself back exactly in the same place as Kam is, because I was there before. But it's an interesting thing. It just seems to be part of the journey where you are with it, and it can change. And I know from you, Lisa Marie, that you could easily pivot as well and just be like, just get the 3 points. I don't give a shit if it's awful to watch. I just want to win, because we're all that person. We're all invested in that way. And speaking of which, and Kam, you've kind of teed us up nicely for this, because we have obviously got one of those type of games coming up on Sunday, and this show will get out hopefully in time for plenty of people to listen to it before that. So it is worth our while talking about it. We do have in our next two fixtures 2 cup games, one of which is obviously the Carabao Cup final, and the second one of which is our 5th round FA Cup game against Norwich, who we have just been speaking about that victory we had over them recently. The story, of course, is, and I've already seen naysayers and doom mongers and I think genuinely worried people who I have a lot of time for, talking about the selection of Queevy and Kelleher. That's a given. We've been spoken to about that. And the other news that came out of it was that Bobby Firmino definitely won't make it, which is obviously disappointing, to say the least. You'd like to have Bobby in the Arsenal there for sure, regardless of whether he's bench or otherwise. We are, of course, very lucky that we have this new boy who's come along and doing so brilliantly. I haven't heard the word on Harvey Elliott, but I did hear something comparatively hopeful about Diogo Jota. So let me start by talking about this game, this final, and what it might mean in the overall scheme of things. And Kam, I think you might sort of be on the same page as me around about this trophy, which the way I look at it is, say we were not to win it, I don't think I'd be devastated. If we were to win it, I think I'd be exaggeratedly pleased by that, because for me, it would be just a sign that we are becoming that club, the club who just wins stuff. And I would very much like us to be that club, especially in the years that we have left with Jurgen Klopp. Because I think if we could establish ourselves as, again, that club, then it really could be an elongated era, especially if we get the next appointment right, of success and sustained success. And I think that's really, really important for a club of the magnitude of Liverpool. So I suppose I've talked myself fully around to saying that I really, really want us to win this, man. That's where I am with it. It's not a throwaway for me now that we're in the final. What are your thoughts around the game in general and any of the particular specific issues? Maybe talk to me about Queeving if you want, or if you don't, talk to me about, who you definitely go with in midfield. You've got at least 1 or 2 particular things that are floating around in your head when you think Carabao Cup final.
Yeah, no issues with Queeving starting. Fully deserves to start. I think it's only right. It will stand him. It will do him the world of good going forwards. It will set him up nicely in his career. And
what do you say to the man? What do you say to the man or woman who says to you, "Look, that's lovely, but there's no room for sentiment when there's a trophy at stake, and we've got one of the best, if not the best, goalkeeper in the world. To not play him is, for some sort of altruistic reason, like, well, this guy's got us here. that's a silly, sentimental decision. What would be your response to that?
I'd say they're 100% right on that as well. Because they're not wrong, are they?
They're not.
They're not wrong. But
that's basically what you're saying at the club, right? You know?
I'm going to go with Klopp's judgment on this. He's the one who's making this decision. I think he's got a pretty good record at a lot of the decisions he's made. I think this season, especially, the decisions he's been making are slowly beginning to look like the right decisions. Yes, we may have had the odd annoying result in the past. We've only lost 2 games all season, just 2 games. So he's doing something right. I think it's essential we win this game on Sunday. Absolutely vital. And the reason I say that is because it's a part of what we're trying to accomplish for the rest of the season. You don't want this taking the wind out of our sails. Lisa Marie touched on mentality earlier, and I think this is a crucial part of that, to show that we can go to finals and we can win finals. Klopp had a previous history of losing, I think it was 6 out of 7 finals.
It was a terrible run.
Yeah, and then he turned that around with the Champions League win. But we've not been to a final since. So he needs to continue that winning record now in finals. I think that's really important. And also for Klopp to cement his legacy as one of the greatest Liverpool managers ever. That will only be done, and he will only be judged on titles won, on trophies won. And it doesn't matter which trophy it is, it's a trophy. So, yes, we've all been derogatory about the Milk Cup, the Rumblers Cup, the Worthington Cup, the Carabao Cup, the League Cup, the Coca-Cola Cup, whatever name you want to give it, the Mickey Mouse Cup. But it's a trophy. And it's an important aspect of cementing a legacy.
Do you remember 2001, where we got what the Manx dismissed as the plastic treble, which was the League and FA Cup and the UEFA Cup, as it still was back then. It's obviously the same trophy, but there was no league nonsense involved with it. It was proper cup competition. And I remember specifically what that meant to me as a supporter, just to get that haul of trophies. You did not give a shit about anything other than it was Liverpool win the trophy, Liverpool win the trophy, Liverpool win the trophy. And you were able to say that 3 times, and no amount of taunting could take away from that, because it was just fan bloody tastic. And now we're in with a chance to see that happen again. You know, there could be a right haul gotten over the line this year, and it's just so bloody exciting in that regard. So I'm all in with you on that. It's just I'm massively invested in us winning this. And I really do appreciate the discussion around, you know, I like that you went there. Yeah, like that. Yeah, you want to see Queeving play. Yeah, also it's a deeply sentimental decision. And that's exactly what this club's all about under Klopp. And you're all in. You have to be all in. And this is why I'll never understand the people who sort of change with the wind in their opinions and stuff. It's an odd thing to me. I think to go back full circle to the concept of fun and joy, you have to be all in. Yeah, I mean, you have to be all in. You have to be trying to knock something out of it, even if your fun or your joy is when the final whistle goes and those 3 points are in the bag. You got to be all in. And I think in this show here we have 3 people who are all in. And Lisa Marie, as you think about, I mean, it's really interesting. Kam brings that up because things could be so different already. And I was beginning to think that poor old Jurgen had inherited this shit luck that was dogging the club, where, you know, we had lost an FA Cup final, and then Jurgen comes along, we lose the League Cup final under him in his first year, we lose the Europa League final in his first year, despite the fact that Danny Sturridge scores this wonder goal, and I think it's all going so well. And then we lose the biggest one of all, and the heartbreak on the night, and Mo's injury and all the rest of it. It was so dark. It was such a dark time that what I loved was, you see Kloppo and he's drinking and he's singing with fans, and this time we'll be back next year, we'll be back, we'll do this again, and they fucking did it, right? So
he was having fun.
He's having fun, man. And I think, Lisa Marie, that there's a corner been turned, right? I think in that era when the trophy finally started to get won, all these records, these shitty records that we had, oh, Liverpool never, if this happens, or this always, or whatever, all of those ghosts were laid. And now I think that ghost, that final ghost that was hanging around, oh, Klopp doesn't win finals, that's now gone too, I think. So I find myself, like I have been going into every game this year, like I have been as I look forward to all the targets on the horizon this year, more confident than I've been in previous years, because these guys have made me that way. So I'm wondering, as you look ahead to Sunday, where are your confidence levels, and would it is there some rationalization that you've already done in your head that if we don't win, then blah blah blah?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident going into Sunday. I was just thinking as you were talking, y'all are going to laugh at me. This is the first time I'll actually watch a final, because I was not able to watch either of the Champions League finals because my daughter's dance recital was going on.
Wow.
So, yeah. Anyway, so, and I kind of had a theory there for a little while that, unfortunately, I've already looked up the date for the Champions League final, and it's not the weekend of her dance recital. So that's not, it's not, what we need. But no, I think we've got an absolute excellent chance on Sunday to win this and come away with the trophy. And I mean, I'm not like confident to the point, like, oh, we're going to smash these. But I mean, I think we have every chance. And what I'm really hoping is, because we have tied Chelsea the two times we've played them, that our players are really going to be like, yeah, no, we're winning this. I have to hope that that's the mentality that they're taking in. And we have every reason to believe, looking at these guys, that is the mentality that they'll be taking into the game on Sunday. I don't have a problem with Queeving starting at all. I mean, and not even just because, he's earned it, so to speak, but I think he is a very capable goalkeeper. It doesn't make me, the times where he has had to step in for Allison this season, not so much for these cup games, but, there's been a couple other times as well, for COVID or whatever. It doesn't make me nervous to see his name on the team sheet the way it might have made me nervous in the past to see other names as opposed to Allison's name on the team sheet. So yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. And in fact, the only thing is I do kind of wish that he had played the Leeds game, just because it's been a little bit since he played, but he's kind of used to that situation. So that doesn't really bother me either. But yeah, it's, we're coming into this with, other than Bobby and possibly Jota, I mean, the question is going to be, I was actually listening to the Scouted podcast on Discord earlier. I mean, just before we kind of started here, and the guys were talking about, I mean, there are going to be people that are likely going to have to be left off the bench because we have so many people to be available on the bench. When has that happened recently? So
yeah, it is remarkable. Two things. First, since when have Hendrik and Matchett started doing their show on Discord live? Is that a regular thing?
Very recent, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lads are getting notions about themselves. I have to.
Well, they're not. They're doing a lot of them on Discord now.
Yeah, Gonna have to have words. I know they used to ask for questions in Discord, but I didn't know the show itself was going live.
Well, and that people aren't necessarily like calling in or chiming in. It's just you can listen to them while they're recording. Now, some people are putting things in the chat and they may reference some of that, but yeah, but it's not like, people are typing in questions. And I mean, I think, probably if someone puts in a relevant question, and they happen to see it, at the appropriate minute, they'll respond to it. But no, it's not like it hasn't become like, Nina's show where people are calling in and saying stuff. So.
Okay. Kam, something that Lisa Marie said sort of struck me there. So this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get a trophy, and I think because it's a final, I think I'll be leaning far more towards your concept of joy and fun on Sunday, to be perfectly honest, in the same way that I did. And your example is perfect, because that Champions League final against Spurs was just a dog shit game, if we're being perfectly honest, and it was just nobody cared a damn thing about anything, because Mo settled our nerves, and all we had to do was just hold and hold and hold. And there was a little bit of a release of pure joy when Divock scores at the end. That was a lovely bonus. But the rest of it is a blur. I couldn't tell you anything that happened in that game. I just couldn't tell you anything.
I was there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, I can tell you what happened afterwards, though.
Oh yeah. Well, up to a point.
We partied.
Yeah. That's nice.
Are you sure you can tell us what happened?
Exactly. I was just going to say.
I had the King of Scotland and the Podfather himself keeping a close eye on me.
You might have had a sherbet or two yourself, no doubt.
I don't think I did, actually.
That's just weird behaviour. But there
was only lager available. I like my lady drinks, my liqueurs.
You like your dude? It's 2022. Come on.
I still get accused of drinking lady drinks, so I'll go with it because I love them. So,
I really want to call the show Lady Drinks now, but I better.
Call it Tory U-turns.
So the point I was trying to get to there before you kept going off on tangents so that is what it is. But the next game that we have after that, and it'll be the last one probably before we record next, is the 5th round FA Cup tie. And unless I've just gone completely mental, it goes 5th round, quarters, semis, right? That is how it goes, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 1, 2, 3 games to get to another final. And you'd be, probably a brave enough person to bet against that, even though the likelihood of that, given history and the fact that we have reached one already and we're really battling the others, the likelihood of that and the odds realistically are probably quite low. I would say you'd be a brave person to bet against Liverpool getting to a final if we get past Norwich. That's where I'd be with this. So to change focus slightly, because that game is coming hot on the heels of the previous one, and that's just the way it's going to be going now, and the way it has been going. And I think we've agreed that this actually very much suits us, especially when we've got a strong squad because of what Kloppo calls rhythm. I've one question for you on this FA Cup tie, and we'll wrap it up then on the football chat. I don't see any situation where Jurgen is what people have called in the past disrespectful to the 5th round of the FA Cup, regardless of whether we get the win over the line or not on Sunday. I think he will be thinking about a strong team regardless, because I think an awful lot of what we've been chatting about here must be playing on his mind as well, about era and legacy and wanted to do the damnedest, because you could say that he hasn't had that attitude towards the domestic cups in the past because he needed to prioritize, because the squad depth wasn't what it could have been. Now it is. So I don't see any way in the world that he goes weak. Do you think I could be wrong on that? Do you think he might actually sacrifice one in a cynical way this year again?
No.
He's
I think he's as in as us. He's going for the quadruple. He's got the squad now. There's no excuse now not to go for every win. Every game is about the win. Every game. There's no no doubt about it. Because let's say he plays the second 11. You've got Kelleher in goal, Joe Gomez at right back, Konate or Matip, VVD, one of the three, two of the three at centre back. You've got Costas at left back. You've got Hendo as the sixth, say, because you'll rest Fabinho. You could have Naby in there. You could have Harvey in there. You could have Bobby, and take your pick of the other two who you're going to start alongside him. Either Diaz and Mo, or Diaz and Mane, or Diaz and Jota. We've got an embarrassment of riches now up top. You can bring even the second 11 if it's against Norwich. You can bring Taki in. You can bring Divock in. No disrespect to Norwich, but I don't see them playing their strongest 11. They need to try and conserve their players for the relegation battle they're in. So if you look at that second 11, they've got no excuses not to beat Norwich, really. And we've still got an embarrassment of riches on the bench. He's finally got the squad. Aside from a backup right back, he's got the squad he wants. He's there now.
So you bring us to a thing that was floated out into the internet during the week, and we'll finish with this as our football story, our last football topic. And by the way, as well, I was just thinking as you were talking, imagine, that little meme from The Simpsons where Lisa rejects Ralph, and it says you can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half, and it just shows this, poor Ralph's just heart exploding. It dawned on me as you were talking, imagine being live in the living room of Pep Guardiola if Jurgen did actually manage to lead us to 4 trophies. It'd be all over for Pep, wouldn't it? He'd just have to give in. I think he'd just have to.
He'd have to walk, wouldn't he? He would have to go back.
He'd have to give it in because, no prissy little rant he could do would ever make up for it. There's no way back from that. It would be the shame bell around the neck and off you go, pal. And just for that reason alone, I really, really hope it happens. Sorry if that sounds mean. I used to like Pep, I just don't anymore. But the question I was going to ask you was, one thing that was floated up there was you were talking about the coverage at right back, and obviously we've got Jimmy Miller who can stand in wherever. We've got Jordan Henderson who's done a stint at right back in the past. Joe Gomez has most notably played there recently and in the past as well, and there was a lot of debate about his performance, and then it led on to, why couldn't Joe Gomez play central midfield, which really got people into a bit of a frenzy. But the right back idea, what's wrong with Joe's right back cover? Because I did see it. Like, he's played there a handful of times, and as the game went on the last day, like I said, I thought towards the end of the game he was really finding a way to get ahead, bomb on, put over a couple of beautiful crosses towards the end of that game. And there's no reason why a player of his caliber couldn't maybe adapt and learn a skill or warm to it as it went on. So why isn't he adequate cover, do you think? Is it because Trent is so fucking good, Cam? Do you know what I mean?
Well, the last bit is probably the most essential bit there. Trent is so good, and there's no way Joe Gomez is getting in ahead of Trent as our right back in the next 10 years. That's just not going to happen. So for Joe Gomez, I see Joe Gomez and Konate being our centre back of the futures. Because obviously you look at the age of Virgil, you look at the age of Joel, they're on the 30 marks, aren't they? So whether Joe and Konate is obviously here for the long term, because obviously we've only just signed him. Joe Gomez before his injury was the number one centre back alongside Virgil. It was the best partnership in my opinion. It was better than Joe and Virgil and Joel Matip for me, and the numbers said that as well. I think they were averaging a goal conceded every 2 games as a partnership, whereas with Virgil and Joel Matip, they're averaging a goal a game conceded. So it's a big difference. The recovery pace of Joe Gomez was phenomenal. It enabled us to play that high line better. Not that Joel Matip is doing a bad job at all. He's been fantastic for us this season. In fact, there's been many a game where he's been a better centre back than Virgil, because Virgil has been, slowly recovering and coming back to his best form. But like I said, long term, I see him as the centre back with Konate. I mean, when Joe Gomez was playing alongside Virgil, everybody was saying, well, we don't need to spend 40-50 million pounds on a defender. We got Joe Gomez. It's only because of the injuries and losing, and obviously not replacing Lovren and getting a fourth centre back in, that we had those issues last season.
Yeah.
But Joe Gomez was the number one choice alongside Virgil. So Joe Gomez would be wasted long term at right back. He's a centre back. That's what he's made for. That's what he's built for. That's what his game is about. A centre back. He's not a midfielder. He's not a right back. He can do a job against certain teams at right back and give Trent a rest. That's fine. Yeah. He's come back from a serious injury, and it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get back to full fitness. And he's being managed now the way they're doing it. They don't want to risk anything on him to pick up another injury. So they've got the cover. We've got three brilliant centre backs, one world class centre back. You don't need to rush him back in. Let him. Then that's what they're doing. So no, let's not mess around with Joe Gomez position long term. Let's think of his right position long term.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom there, and an awful lot of people nodding their heads along with, and it'll just be about whether or not we can keep him long term if he's not getting a game. That will be very much the question, because he is so
very
good.
Much, yeah.
He is so good. Let's get out of here, guys, because we've gone long, as we always do, on a minimal topics. I mean, Jesus Christ, there are some shows where I have to come up with about 87 different topics to get an hour out of some people. We have 2 topics and an hour has passed. So, Lisa Marie, what is it that you'd like to finish us with this week?
I have another quote. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Be the light in the dark, be the calm in the storm, and be hopeful when the ending is unclear.
Oh, you've gone full optimism with all 3 of these. And if you hadn't noticed, listener, tied in with the wonderful anthem of Liverpool there, with that last quote as well. Tremendous, upbeat, apposite, and pithy. Who's that from?
Maria Shriver.
Well done, Maria Shriver. Maria Shriver, who was once married to Arnie.
That is correct.
Well done, Maria Shriver.
That is correct.
Fair play to you for that. Thanks very much, Lisa Marie. And Kam, do you have anything to sign off with, even if it's just a recommendation or anything like that?
I'm just going to sign off with something I think that is pertinent with the way the world is right now. I know I don't want to bring the tone or doom on the show or anything, but I just want to say I stand with Ukraine. I stand with Yemen. I stand with Palestine. I stand with Taiwan. In fact, I stand with any country that is facing tyranny from another country. And I think the world needs a good, sharp look at itself, humans do, mankind does, in what they're actually trying to achieve. We should be a world of no borders, of no boundaries, of no limitations. But we need those borders and we need those boundaries because we need those identities as well. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Even in the various examples you've given there, you've actually you've actually sort of wittingly or unwittingly made a handful of incredibly important points about different regimes and different power balances and structures around the world, and it is obviously to the forefront of everyone's mind at the moment, and any country who's ostensibly being damaged and hurt, your heart goes out to them immediately, and we're no different here on this show when it comes to thinking about people in Ukraine at the moment. And hopefully, as Kam said, people can open their minds up a little bit and see in those other names that he mentioned that it mightn't just be the simplest story in the world, and that maybe it might be okay to read a few things before you start shouting and roaring, and just being a Twitter person about the world, because then we might actually make a bit of a difference. And to sign off on a slightly more upbeat note, pal of mine, Jamie's been telling me for ages to watch Succession. In fact, he's been very, very aggressive about it. He's given me dog's abuse about it repeatedly on Twitter, and I just couldn't get it because it wasn't on any of my subscription services. But eventually what I did was, guess what I did, Kam, Lisa Marie? I bought the DVD and I stuck it in my PlayStation like an old relic from the 20th century. And I have enjoyed the ever-loving shit out of season 1 and half season 2. And I must admit that all the crap that I took about it was worth it. And all the bigging up that they did in the series.
I see a lot of Logan Roy in you, Trev.
There's a lot of Logan Roy in me. Yeah, clearly. Beardy, cantankerous, Gallic. Gaelic, rather.
Gaelic, yeah.
There's nothing Gallic about me. Well, actually, there is something Gallic about me if we go back enough generations, but that's another show. That's another show right there. So thanks, Jamie, for all your abuse over the years. You finally made me spend actual money on a DVD, for fuck's sake. But it's been worth it. So I'm going back to do. That's what the rest of my Friday evening looks like. Hopefully, when we're talking to you next, the Reds will be a trophy to the good, and we will also be a step to the good in the pursuit of another one. That's our hope for when we speak to you next. Thanks to Lisa Marie Hanahan, thanks to Kam Brainch. We have no producer this week, so hopefully it'll have gone comparatively smoothly. And thanks to Guy Drinkle, who does have one major edit to do, where my signal dropped out, more of which anon. And on pain of raised eyebrow from Hanahan, let me finish by saying that until we speak to you again, do be kind to your fellow Reds and stay safe out there.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.